Well, to start off, the people there are mostly Catholic, by birth, I guess you could say. There's a lot more, like, diversity in religion is picking up, but most people from the beginning, because of the Spanish influence, were Catholic, and so that plays a lot into their belief system, their culture. Some of them are very closed off to other religious ideas, and others are very open. You kind of get a mix of everything, but they are very, very loving and accepting of you, especially as a missionary coming in the name of God. They will see that as a good thing, regardless of what your beliefs are. If you show them that you're there to help and bless the lives of other people, they will immediately thank you and be very grateful to you. And on multiple occasions, I can remember people saying, "Oh, thank you, brother, for doing this and that." And we didn't know them, they just would be there or would tell us, and as we were walking by, and so that's always heartwarming to get as a missionary as you're working, because sometimes it's very hard because people don't want to listen, but there are people that still respect and love you for that. Culture things, they're a little bit different in their etiquette. I can remember specifically one time we were in the chapel for an activity, and I tossed something to my companion because he asked me. He's like, "Oh, Elder, here, give me this," and he was he was just a little bit away from me, so I tossed it to him, and all the members saw, and they looked at me and were just with this face of horror, just, and my companion was just like, because he was Peruvian as well, and I was just like, "What I do? What did I do?" And I was like, I honestly like didn't know. And then he kind of like whispered to me, and he was like, "You shouldn't like throw things." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I felt so embarrassed because everybody like kind of laughed about it, but were also kind of taken back by it. And I just was like, "Oh no, I can never throw anything again," because like I remember their faces and just being so like startled, like, "Oh my gosh, I just committed murder." I don't know. So that's something very different. You hand things to people. It's a little bit more, I guess, polite or respectful in that way. Um, you know, they're just kind of, I don't know, I can't really think of an exact example, but they're very polite in that respect of handing things to people, in speaking and interacting, and not being like short or curt with somebody. Actually like having a conversation with them, and kind of doing all those right things, saying thank you and please, and it's kind of comes from I don't know, I think like family backgrounds as well. It definitely plays into some of that. But for the majority, most of them are very proper, or try to be, to have good manners in that regard. Sometimes, we made an effort to talk with everybody around us that we would see, as our time permitted. And a lot of times we would stop, and usually with the women would be more kind hearted, but we'd stop and say hello to them, even if we just said hi, how are you doing. Sometimes we'd shake their hand, they'd take our hand and wrap their hands around ours and be like, "Oh, thank you, brother, for being here and for preaching the gospel and doing good stuff." And we'd be like, "Well, do you want to hear more?" And a lot of times they'd say, "No, but thank you," and very just loving and wanting to share that they take note of us, and they're very grateful for missionary work, because a lot of them see, especially the older people, can see the deterioration of families and of just bad things that happen, not only in Peru but all over the world nowadays. Just the influence of the adversary breaking down homes and stuff like that. They're grateful that there are people fighting for good, and And so that was one instance. A lot of times too, when you'd go into a home, they would always offer you a drink or food sometimes, which is sometimes all they have. You know, it's what they would eat or what they were going to have that day, and instead they give it to you. So sometimes we would decline. Other times we'd accept. It just sort of depended on the circumstance. And you can usually tell and see when it's right and appropriate to do that. But you can tell that these people are very, desirous to show you and give you their best, when it wasn't even necessary. A lot of times they'd say, we'd walk in and sit down with the parents, and they'd say to their little kids, they'd say, "Oh, hey, here, take," they'd give them 5 or 10 soles to go out and buy a soda and some crackers. And, the kid would run to the little store and come back, and then they'd serve it to us. Without even asking, would just tell their kid, give them the money, go. And that's, a lot for them sometimes. And I noticed that, that happened time after time after time. And it's just, I think, sort of this respect and love that they have for people who come trying to do good, especially, so obviously for the missionaries, they had a great love for them.